It's mixed. Some of them think it's going to start on time. Some of them think it's going to be delayed. I don't know, but I think it's good, actually. I think negotiating is hard, but it's good. It's anybody that is willing to bet on self in this space.
That's not confidence, that's doubt wrapped in forced optimism. Dawn Staley just delivered the clearest non-answer yet about the WNBA-CBA negotiations. And if you paid attention to her body language, you saw it too. She didn't look convinced by her own words. And that should worry every fan counting on basketball tipping off in May.
High demand.
She's trying to make it sound so good.
Right now, you're going to settle for anything in the future. So I think we'll have a season. Just me, but I think we'll have a season, and I believe it's going to start on time. Thank you.
She don't look like look at Dawn. She don't even look like she believed that at the end, bro. She don't even look at her.
Have a dog in the fight.
Hold on.
Watch her expression when the conversation shifts to the league's demand. She struggles to even complete the thought because there's something Dawn Staley understands but can't openly admit. The WNBA's leverage issue isn't simply that negotiations are tough. It's about who actually created the surge in demand in the first place. And here's the part nobody wants to say. It wasn't the veterans driving the momentum behind this new CBA. The league's bargaining power was amplified by rookies who arrived with built-in fan bases, major endorsement deals, and independent leverage that existed long before they ever stepped into the WNBA system.
Here, that aired earlier today.
How have you seen kind of the landscape of the league change and the type of player that's come into AU this season?
I think that we've seen a lot more young players this year be interested, and young players in the W, like rookies in the W, they're a different breed because they came into the W.
Now pay attention to Sydney Carlson as she explains the new reality. She's talking about a whole new kind of player stepping into the league. These rookies arrive with nil deals, established personal brands, and real options. They don't have to play overseas because they've already secured major earnings before even seeing their first WNBA paycheck. And that completely shifts the dynamics of these CBA negotiations.
Fact of the matter is that Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, Reese, Cameron Brink, all of these new players came into the game with their own bag, came into the game with their own notoriety, their own fans. And the way it's looking to me, from the outside looking in, these old hacks are some haters. And Dawn Staley is 1,000%.
Here's the uncomfortable truth nobody says out loud. The veterans are bargaining for money that the rookies already created. Caitlin Clark didn't need the WNBA to become Caitlin Clark. Angel Reese had 1 million Instagram followers before ever putting on a Sky jersey. Cameron Brink had a New Balance deal while still at Stanford. These players arrived with their own economic ecosystems, and now the league is trying to claim credit for it. Consider the timing. The WNBA is pushing for revenue sharing, better salaries, charter flights, all valid demands. But when did this leverage actually appear? Right after the 2024 draft class arrived, bringing viewership the league had never seen. Caitlin Clark's games averaged over 1 million viewers. The Indiana Fever went from borderline irrelevant to must-watch TV almost overnight. And suddenly, the WNBA holds negotiating power it didn't have just a year ago.
More money, what all of that can be like, and so they have a lot going on outside of basketball, so the need to go overseas doesn't feel as pressing or urgent. So we're lucky that we got to get a lot of those players who, weren't playing it unrivaled. They still wanted to play 5-on-5. They heard from, friends or other people that AU was a good environment. We were just lucky, I think, with the timing. But yeah, getting to have a lot of those rookies, having some vets like Tina Charles come be a part of it, having, people like Mercedes Russell, a lot of people who, maybe weren't going to give it a chance before, heard good things, and they came in and tried it out. So it's been really cool. It's been really fun to just see people outside of the court and get to know them a little more.
One of the other differences.
And here's where it gets messy. The content creator in this video is voicing what a lot of people are thinking but won't say publicly. Covering the WNBA isn't fun anymore. He points out the stark difference between covering Caitlin Clark at Iowa and covering her in the WNBA. And the numbers support him. At Iowa, women's basketball felt like an event the game flowed. Storylines developed naturally. and the drama was all about competition. But the moment Clark steps into the WNBA, the focus immediately shifts. Who's being physical with her? Who's jealous? Who's criticizing her fans? The narrative moves away from pure basketball and into conflict.
Did not see the video I did before this one, man. I believe that the WNBA players are looking out for the old players. Sydney Colson said it all earlier, and we're going to play that clip too here for y'all. But I want to...
That contrast is crucial for these CBA negotiations because it highlights a core tension. The veterans want compensation for building the league fair enough, but they also spent the entire 2024 season making it clear they resented the attention the rookies brought. From A.A. Wilson's harsh fan comments to physical play that crossed the line into targeting, to constant debates over whether the new viewers were real WNBA fans or just Caitlin Clark fans, the message was clear. You can't have it both ways. You can't profit from the surge in revenue while simultaneously pushing away the very fan base that created it.
Different trajectory. I believe they need to go back to the style of basketball Caitlin Clark was playing at Iowa. It was more fun to make women's basketball content. Ever since she came here, it ain't been the same, dog. It ain't been fun. I've been here since college. And I'm telling you right now, the way things is now, it is not fun. It ain't fun at all. To cover this, it ain't fun to talk about this.
Sydney Colson is keeping it diplomatic, highlighting how rookies have bigger lives outside basketball and don't feel pressured to play overseas. But read between the lines. She's talking about players with real options, players who don't need the WNBA as much as the WNBA needs them. And that completely shifts a power dynamic that has defined women's professional basketball for decades.
And I believe it's going to start on time. Thank you, but
she don't look like she... Look at Dawn. She don't even look like she believed that at the end, bro. She don't even look at her.
I don't have a dog in the fight.
Hold on.
I don't have a dog in the Thank you, but I don't have a dog in the fight.
So she letting her know she don't know nothing.
Historically, WNBA players relied on the league. You'd play 3 or 4 months in the U.S., then head to Europe or Asia for the real money. The WNBA was the stage, but overseas contracts were the paycheck. That setup created a specific leverage dynamic. Players had limited negotiating power because alternatives were scarce. If you want to play at the highest level in front of an American audience, the WNBA was your only path. NIL has completely flipped that equation. Today's top college players can earn 6 or 7 figures before turning pro. They build personal brands, sign endorsements, create content, and grow fan bases. By the time they're drafted, they're not desperate for WNBA pay. They're deciding if the league adds value to what they've already built. This is a revolutionary shift in leverage, hitting right as the WNBA negotiates a new CBA.
You know, friends or other people, that AU was a good environment. We were just lucky, I think, you know, with the timing. But yeah, getting to have a lot of those rookies, having some vets like Tina Charles come be a part of it, having, you know, people like Mercedes Russell, a lot of people who, you know, maybe weren't going to give it a chance before, heard good things, and they came and tried it out. So it's been really cool. It's been really fun to just...
When this content creator calls the veterans haters, he's blunt, but he's not wrong. The eye test tells the story. How Caitlin Clark was treated on the court, how media narratives formed, how veterans responded to questions about the rookie class, it all pointed to resentment. Dawn Staley knows it too. That's why she can't look at the camera and confidently claim the CBA negotiations are going smoothly. Here's what's really happening behind the scenes. The WNBA Players Association is trying to strike a deal that benefits everyone, but the leverage that makes that possible comes from one group, in particular the rookies, especially Caitlin Clark. And now those rookies are staring at a CBA that could distribute the revenue they generated to players who spent the season making their lives harder. Think from Clark's perspective. She sells out arenas. Her jersey is the top seller. Her games get the ratings. Yet under the current and proposed CBA structures, she's still on the rookie scale, while veterans who contributed little to that surge get paid more. The Players Association represents everyone, not just the stars, so the structure likely won't change. That's why covering the WNBA isn't fun anymore, as the creator said. The story shifted from basketball to politics, from competition to resentment, from celebrating success to questioning whose fans are worthy. That shift happened because the new players disrupted the existing hierarchy. They didn't pay dues or wait their turn. They arrived as stars with leverage and demanded to be treated like it. This brings us back to Dawn Staley. She's a legend of women's basketball. Coached at the highest level, won championships, developed countless players. She knows the game and the business better than most. Yet when asked about the CBA, she can't fake confidence because she sees what everyone else sees. These negotiations are complicated by factors far beyond normal labor talks. The league is trying to negotiate like an established entity with predictable growth. But in reality, they're in the middle of an unprecedented boom driven by players who don't need the WNBA as much as the league needs them. That's not a stable foundation for a long-term agreement. When the creator compares Caitlin Clark at Iowa versus in the WNBA, he pinpoints the problem. At Iowa, the story was the basketball records, impossible shots, carrying her team. In the WNBA, the focus shifted to her. Every hard foul became a referendum on race or resentment. Every interview dissected for subtext. Every interaction turned into content about targeting. It's exhausting for Clark, for fans, for content creators who just want to cover the game. And that exhaustion feeds directly into the CBA negotiations. If the product isn't fun, the discourse is toxic, and the fan base is divided, the 2024 ratings spike isn't sustainable. Growth only matters if it lasts, and right now, it happened despite the WNBA culture, not because of it. Fans came for Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, and they'll leave if the experience doesn't improve. Sydney Colson's comments about empowering coaches highlight another point. Structural changes are needed when veterans control culture and resent new stars. Coaches need authority to manage personalities and enforce standards regardless of seniority. But will the new CBA address culture or just money? Because if it's only about pay, the underlying problems remain. Resentment, toxic dynamics, and revenue not fairly tied to contribution. That's why Dawn Staley looked so uncomfortable. The CBA isn't just salary caps and revenue splits, it's about whether the WNBA can accommodate both the players who built it and the stars transforming it. Traditional players needed the league and sacrificed for it. The new players have options, leverage, and are arriving as stars. How do you write a CBA that satisfies both? Rewards builders without shortchanging stars? Respects seniority while embracing new talent? The content creator ends by saying he might return when there's real news, not because he's done, but because the current product isn't worth covering. If creators feel that way, imagine casual fans. Diehards will watch, but new fans came for stars like Clark. They're not obligated to stay. The WNBA has a 2 to 3 year window to capitalize on this attention. Wasted on internal conflict, and the opportunity disappears. Ratings drop, fans move on, and the leverage behind the CBA evaporates. So when Dawn Staley says she thinks there will be a season, but can't maintain eye contact, it's because she knows the stakes. This isn't just about May games. It's about whether the WNBA can balance honoring its builders while embracing the stars transforming it. Right now, that balance doesn't exist. Veterans resent rookies. Rookies feel targeted. Discourse is toxic. And basketball has become secondary. No CBA can fix a culture problem. The league must decide. Will it celebrate all its stars, or enforce a hierarchy the nil era made impossible? Players won't accept disrespect when they're already stars elsewhere. That's why Staley doesn't look confident. The negotiations are hard because the underlying issues are hard, and until the league reconciles past and future, every CBA will be this complicated. The question isn't just whether there will be a season, it's whether that season will be worth watching. Based on 2024, that's far from certain. What happens if a CBA falls apart? Do rookies have enough leverage to sit out? Will veterans strike, risking the only revenue spike they've ever had? Drop your thoughts, this is about to get real interesting.